Hey, imagine this. You're there in the darkness of your room, controller in hand, and suddenly a game grabs you by the throat and won't let go. Hades 2 isn't just another game, it's as if Supergiant Games invited you to a wild Greek feast where the gods fight for fun, and you're the center of all the mayhem. I, having already burned my midnight oil with early access, kept coming back to it like an addict. But now, with the final version, it's like I've been given the whole banquet. Brutal? Of course, because it makes you sweat blood in fights that look like deadly dancer teens. Ugly? Well, not everything is gold on Olympus. In Hades 2, you take on the role of Melinoë, the daughter of Hades and Persephone, a warrior witch secretly trained to hunt shadows. The Greek world is upside down. Cronus, the titan of time and evil grandpa, has invaded the underworld, kidnapped your family, and unleashed a cataclysm that darkens everything. Your mission is simple in theory: descend to the underworld or ascend to Olympus, slaughter hordes of enemies, steal divine blessings, and make your way to the final boss to deal him his comeuppance. But like any self-respecting roguelike, each death sends you back to the crossroads, where you use your loot to upgrade yourself and converse with a cast of gods and spirits straight out of a mythological soap opera. It's a tale of dysfunctional family, revenge, and sorcery, with two main routes opening up after your first victory, one to the dark underground and one to the light surface. In the final version, everything culminates in a true ending that ties up loose ends, but don't expect Hollywood closure. It's more like an epic cliffhanger that leaves you begging for more. As someone who played the early access version, I saw this evolve from a promising draft into a full-blown epic, with updates that added entire regions, new weapons, and dialogue that made you laugh and cry in the same night. Well, let's start with the brutality. Oh man, where to start with the brutality of Hades 2? If the first Hades was like a well-placed punch, this one is an aerial combo with special effects that leaves you speechless. First, the combat. It's a symphony of fluid violence, where every blow feels like you're dancing with death itself. Melinoë isn't the impulsive Zagreus of the original. She's a calculating sorceress with an arsenal of night weapons, ranging from a spear that transforms into a scythe to a pair of spinning torches that turn entire rooms into a carnival of fire. And let's not even talk about the Omega cast, that magic ball you throw that floats, attracting enemies or unleashing lightning bolts depending on the boons you collect. In early access, this was a joke. Now, in the final version, they've polished it so much that each build feels unique. Imagine a run where you combine Zeus's lightning bolt with Demeter's ice, and suddenly you're a walking storm that freezes and electrocutes at the same time. It's addictive. I die in the first room, come back and adjust my grasp, that magic bar that charges with hits, and in the next, I'm unstoppable. The bosses are on another level. The Underworld, with its stages that change the pace like a crazed DJ, or Olympus, which forces you to read patterns while dodging fireballs and time portals. And with the updates, they added a post-game Testament of the Night mode with packs that increase the difficulty and crazy rewards, like weapons that summon meteors or shields that reflect damage. But the brutality doesn't stop at the fists. The art and sound are a feast for the senses. Supergiant has always been a master at this, but here they take it to the stratosphere. The backgrounds, the Thessalian rift with its floating ships on a stormy sea, or the caves of the underworld with luminous mushrooms that flicker like fallen stars. Each biome has its own vibe, dark and oppressive below, luminous and treacherous above. The characters, Melinoë with her silver hair rippling like a moonlit river, or Hecate, your witch mentor, with that cape that seems alive. In early access, some portraits were tacky placeholders like Charon's that look like a generic ghost. Now, everyone glows with magical effects, and even the minor gods have animations that make you pause just to admire them. Darren Korb's music is pure fire. Tracks like the Sirens' choirs, with goosebumps as they fight, or the grandiose opera of the climax on Olympus. Ashley Barrett sings with that voice that goes from playful to epic in seconds, and everything is synchronized with the combat. He kills a musician in a fight, and his instrument disappears from the soundtrack. It's brilliant.
Progression is the hook that keeps you engaged. Unlike the original Hades, where everything was linear, there are layers here. You collect rare resources like night bramble or stardust to enchant permanent upgrades to the cauldron. You unlock Arcana cards that grant passive bonuses, one that gives you extra health for each enemy killed, another that speeds up your ash. And keepsakes, those character amulets, now interact in crazy ways. The Nemesis one gives you critical hits on counterattacks, but if you combo it wrong, it leaves you vulnerable. In my early access runs, I was frustrated farming to unlock everything. Now with the tweaked balance, it feels like every kill advances the story or your power. Speaking of story, the cast is a delightful mess. You chat with Apollo about his inflated ego, or with Selene, the moon goddess who gives you night terrors as buffs. You return to the Crossroads, that hub with campfires and spirits, and each NPC has evolving arcs. Nemesis goes from jealous rival to difficult ally, and you can even dress your animal familiar with new cosmetics in the final version. It's conversational, like chatting with friends at a party but with a twisted mythology. I laughed so hard at Hermes' quips that I paused to mentally record them. And let's not forget the replayability. 2 complete routes, with secrets like false walls that lead to mini-bosses or hidden altars. After the true ending, which ties the knot with Zagreus and reveals twists about Cronus, you unlock endgame challenges that last hours. In early access, I ended up feeling incomplete. Now with the 3 major updates, Olympic, Warsong, and Unseen, it's a living world that invites you to play for 100 easy hours. Brutal because it makes you a better player. You learn to prioritize boons, to roll at the right time, and every victory screams, "I did it." It's as if the game whispers to you, "One more, dude, just one more run." And you finish at 3 a.m. exhausted but euphoric. But wait, it's not all smooth sailing. Brutality also has its dark side, which leads us straight to the next hook. What if all that shine hides cracks that make you want to throw away the controller? Read on, because ugly comes with everything. Now let's look at the ugly. Now let's get down to the ugly, because Hades 2 isn't perfect, and that makes it human, right? If the first game was a polished diamond, this one is like a diamond with a few chips that prick you if you're not careful. Let's start with early progression. The first 10 to 15 runs are a hellish grind. You farm Ghost Marble or Stardust to unlock upgrades, but at first it feels like you're digging through quicksand. In early access, this was tolerable because you knew updates were coming. Now, in the final version, they've smoothed it out a bit with more starting resources, but you still have to farm like crazy to access Arcana cards or advanced weapons. Imagine, you die in room 3, come back, spend your loot on a crappy upgrade, and think, what the hell did that do? It's frustrating, especially if you're coming from Hades 1, where the progression mirror gave you quick boosts. Here, the cauldron and incantations sound cool, Greek sorcery, but at first it's an overwhelming menu of 50 ingredients that you don't even know where to find. And the rare resources, forget them. It takes hours to get lion bones for a single upgrade. In my early access sessions, this gave me gray hair. Now with the journal, that new compendium that summarizes enemies and relationships, it's less confusing, but it's still a wall that can discourage newbies. Another big issue, the difficulty balance. Hades 2 is harder than its predecessor, and not always fairly. The final bosses are HP sponges. The one on Olympus, for example, has phases where the area of damage forces you to stay close, but one wrong dash and goodbye run. In early access, the Underworld boss was overpowered. Now they've nerfed it, but the one above makes up for it with patterns that seem designed by a sadist. And the common enemies? Some, like those teleporting specters or projectile spamming harpies, kill you in 2 hits if you don't have the perfect boon. The blessings are more spread out, fewer guarantees of a specific god, so builds that were OP in Hades 1 fail miserably here. As a combat fan, I get angry when a promising run goes to hell due to pure RNG, you don't get Hecate's cast, and your magic is in its infancy. Testament of the Night helps with God mode, but early on you feel like the game is telling you, suffer, mortal. It's brutal in a good way, but ugly when it frustrates more than it motivates.
The narrative! The narrative! Supergiant shines with witty dialogue, but here the main story is more predictable than an oracle's prophecy. Cronus is the obvious villain, a tyrannical grandfather with no nuances, and Melinoë's arc feels linear. Train, fight, win, repeat. In Hades 1, each death revealed deep familial layers with heartbreaking twists. Here, the drama is more superficial. The conversations are fun, Apollo flirting, Demeter complaining about the weather, but those introspective moments that make you pause and reflect are missing. The secondary arcs save the day, the relationship with Nemesis is pure gold, but the main core feels dull, like a recycled epic. Technically, there are minor uglinesses. On Switch, looting times are longer than on PC. A couple of extra seconds break the flow after a death, and the UI, though improved, can be overwhelming. With so many boon and card options, the menu feels cluttered on small screens. In early access, icons and art were lacking. Now it's polished, but some visual effects, like magic particles, clutter the screen in chaotic combat, making it difficult to see enemies. The promised co-op multiplayer? It's still absent, though there are pings for asynchronous runs. And the endgame, though vast, repeats biomes after 60 hours. The Thessaly Rift is great, but seeing the same ships for the 10th time gets tiring. It's not broken, but it adds to the bigger isn't always better feeling. The ugly thing is that, despite its ambition, it sometimes stumbles on its own divine mantle. But hey, it's not all complaints. These cracks make you appreciate the brutality even more. My personal verdict? Go on, the punchline's coming. Look, I'm one of those who dove into early access like a fly into honey, with 80 hours of failed runs and laughter with the gods. The final version blew my mind. The combat has me hooked like in my best days of Hades 1, but it hurts to see that narrative doesn't soar as high. Brutal in gameplay, ugly in some grinds, but in the end, it's the kind of game that makes you feel alive, failures and all. If you're a fan, run for it. If not, prepare for an unforgiving addiction. In short, Hades 2 is a titan that stands on the shoulders of the original. Brutal in its hypnotic combat, captivating art, and progression that makes you feel invincible over time. The ugliness, the initial grind, the stinging balance, and a story that doesn't always excite, doesn't sink it, but rather humanizes it, reminding us that even gods fail. Compared to early access, the final version is a quantum leap. More content, polish, and depth that justifies every minute invested. It's objective. It stands out for its innovation, but stumbles on its excessive ambition. If you're looking for a roguelike that blends action, myth, and endless chatter, this is your Olympus. It's not perfect, but who is? Play, die, come back stronger, that's the essence. And so I end this talk like an epic run, exhausted but wanting more. If Hades 2 piqued your curiosity, fire it up now and tell me in your thoughts how it went with Melinoë. Brutal or ugly first? Either way, thanks for reading this far. You're one of the good guys. See you in the Underworld. Cheers.